What's going on YouTube? Now AMG has worked with Mercedes to make countless models over the years, but as far as vehicles they developed on their own, there are only 3, and this is the newest one. Knowing those origins, we were ecstatic when our friends at James Motor Company invited us to try out the first in-house developed AMG 4-door, and on this beautiful spring day, no less. Of course, if you're in the market for any new Mercedes, make sure to stop by their dealership or check out their large inventory online at the web address provided in the video description. So with that all said, let's check out one of the fastest sedans in the world. So starting things off here with the exterior styling. This is the kind of car you know means business right from the start. Of course, as a relative to the GT Coupe and Roadster, the face is very similar in shape, with the same vertical bars. The lower fascia also has large openings to feed the engine with air, and then our model's AMG Night package darks out all the areas around them. Turning to the full LED headlights, they are truly a work of art, with your 2 main crystals surrounded by carbon fiber, and then you even have these little blue 3D accents along the side. As far as all the rest of the styling, it is surprisingly close to the Coupe's design. Besides of course being 20 inches longer, all the core styling elements are here, like the dramatically sloping roof, very wide rear end, and long slender taillights that further emphasize that width. Probably the coolest part though is that the seamless looking rear is actually hiding a huge spoiler. It operates at multiple stages, automatically deploying at 50 miles per hour, and then adjusting heights again at 87 and 112. The only noticeable styling change from the Coupe are the quad exhaust tips instead of dual ones. So all in all, AMG did a great job of translating their supercar into a sedan. And judging by all the stares, they didn't lose any of the wow factor in the process. Now as far as the wheels, there will be something for absolutely any taste. There are 2 standard 19-inch alloys, however most people will choose one of the optional 20 or 21-inch options, such as these forged cross-spoke 21-inch alloys. We've even seen some equipped with Maybach wheels if that's your jam. For your brakes, the ability to return to street legal speeds is provided by 6-piston, 15.4-inch AMG high-performance brakes, finished in red calipers on the 63 and yellow ones on the 63S. Of course, moving to the mirrors, they have every feature available. Plus, with our AMG Night package, they are finished in black. A blind spot monitoring system is built in, but as far as the really advanced safety systems, they require the driver assistance package. Within that, you have the usual things like pedestrian detection, adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, and auto high beam headlights. But you also have semi-autonomous features like active distance assist Distronic and automatic evasive steering. And finally, the last thing to mention here on the outside is the 17.4 gallon fuel tank, which is good for 293 miles of range on premium fuel. Well, that's it for the stunning exterior. So now let's go ahead and see if the cabin is just as beautiful. Of course, as one would expect, this model does come standard with Mercedes Smart Entry System, as well as their really nice key fob design with real metal trim. And for our AMG model, we do have this nice little seal in the back as well. Remote start can be had through the Mercedes Me app. Now to get inside the vehicle, all you gotta do is just grab the handle and it will open right up, and your mirrors will also come out. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the all-new Mercedes AMG GT 4-door. As you can see, it basically mixes characteristics typical to Mercedes sedans with characteristics from the AMG GT Coupe. Now obviously, since this is one of Mercedes' flagship vehicles, you're going to have an abundance of choices when it comes to how to configure this interior. So to start out with, all models are always going to come with fine Nappa leather in either black, gray, auburn brown, or red pepper colors. And then you can also option on diamond quilting in a couple different colors, saddle brown and macchiato beige. And that's not all, you can also get the center to be Dynamica inserts in black, and then you can choose between red or yellow stitching with that. Now as far as your trim pieces, you also have a ton of choices. Piano black, natural brown ash, natural gray ash, or carbon fiber. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is beautifully finished. As you can see, you have leather from the top to the bottom, all along the armrest and along the top. Gorgeous open pore wood, and then everything else is made of real aluminum. Now as far as your seats, I believe they are 16-way power adjusting. You even have things like your power headrest, and obviously you have standard 3-person memory seating. Additionally, on this model, we do have standard seat ventilation and heating, and we do also have the optional massaging function. Of course, as far as your windows, all 4 are one-touch automatic. And then checking out the seats themselves, obviously they are also beautifully finished. You've got the real Nappa leather and these kind of Dynamica inserts in between, so it definitely has a really unique look. And then you've got your AMG branding right up here. Now I will also point out before I get in that you can get an optional sport seat if you want kind of a more aggressive bolstering. And our specific model does come with the optional soft closing doors. So first, getting inside this interior, you're going to notice just how insanely gorgeous it is. Absolutely stunning visually and as far as the materials used. So you're looking at nice materials, obviously, from the very top to the bottom. So across the upper dash, you have real leather with the color contrast stitching detail. All through the middle, you have this absolutely beautiful open pore wood. Feels great and looks fantastic. And then even down here in your lower areas, you have more of that stitched leather all through here, and then a really nice fabric down at the very, very bottom. Now for your push button start, you've got the cool turbine button. And when you press it, you'll see the dual 12.3-inch display setup fire up. This is actually running command, not the MBUX system, but they'll probably be updated in the future. So once you get over your amazement at the sound of that startup, you can come over here and look at your 12.3-inch reconfigurable gauges. They are like other Mercedes models, so you have this little touch pad right here that you can control this screen with. And basically you can customize the different sections, so you can come over here to this side and we can go from a tachometer, G-force meter, go to boost, different types of performance gauges, or we can just do nothing at all. And we can also come into the middle here and customize this with this same kind of information as well. And you can put navigation and stuff on the screen by going into this and clicking that, so you can get different information. So this is all in all definitely one of the most reconfigurable setups in the industry. Now we don't actually have it, but there is an available 8-inch head-up display as a standalone option. Now coming back to the steering wheel, we do have electric power assisted steering paired with one of the nicest steering wheels in the entire auto industry. This beautiful AMG steering wheel. It is flat bottomed. You have large pieces of real aluminum trim all throughout here. We have leather, however right here in the middle we have a dynamic insert to add more grip, so it's really a great looking steering wheel. Now as far as the actual functionality, like I said, this corresponds with your multi-function display. We do have our adaptive cruise control settings right there. Then on this side, these buttons correspond with the main display, and then we have our phone, voice, and audio controls right there. Obviously, it does come with real aluminum paddle shifters. We also have rain sensing wipers. And then the steering wheel itself is power adjusting, and we also have the optional heating through the comfort and warmth package. Now, of course, probably the main reason you're going to choose the sedan over the coupe or the roadster is because you need a little bit more storage, and the sedan does indeed have more spaces to stick things. So starting out with your center console here, opens up in your typical Mercedes way, and inside is actually pretty deep. Of course, it is nicely finished with a felt, and you do have 2 of your USB ports right there. Up in front of that, you can just kind of press down on this and slide it forward. And inside of this will reveal 2 of your cup holders. And then it's a little hard to see, but you actually have a wireless phone charger pad that you can slide your phone back there with that. Another USB port, and also a 12-volt outlet. Now, one of the unique aspects about the GT line is that you actually do not have the typical Mercedes shifter. It is still electronic, but you've kind of got this joystick style shifter instead of that column mounted one up on the steering wheel. So this is the same as it is in the coupe and the roadster version. So you've got the AMG seal right up there on this real leather. And then it does operate the same. All you gotta do is pull back for drive. And of course, when you do, you can shift manually with those beautiful real aluminum paddle shifters. For reverse, you're just going to go the opposite way. And when you do, you will find a standard backup camera, of course. You do have the active trajectory, front and rear parking sensors, as well as the automatic parking abilities, both parallel and perpendicular, as standard equipment. However, we do have the one option, which is the $500 surround view camera, 360 degree. So we get this secondary angle over here, as well as the ability to go over here on the side and scroll through some different views, like your corner, your side views, your front view, and that stuff. So very nice system overall. And then for park, all you gotta do is just press the little P. Now, as far as this whole center console design, this is very similar to the coupe and the roadster. However, there is one difference, and that's these buttons. They're actually electronic buttons, so what they do is they change when you press them. It's not touch sensitive, so you notice you actually press into it, and this part does actually move, but when you do, it adapts to what you push. So you can see we go from the manual mode to the dynamic mode. Up here is our drive mode buttons, so we can cycle through individual, snow, comfort, sport, and sport plus. That changes the gauges here and there, as well as, like I said, the little button right there. And then, of course, you have your adaptive dampening right here. Turn off your traction control. Then on the other side, you can turn on and off your auto start stop system, raise and lower your spoiler to the various different settings. And then, since we have the AMG exhaust, you can go through the different modes for that right here as well. Now, if you're wondering where the volume knob is, you don't actually have a knob in the traditional sense. You just have this toggle right up here. So we'll go ahead and take a sample of the audio system. We have the standard version. It is a Burmester sound system. Mercedes wasn't specific about the watts or the number of speakers. However, there is an optional sound system, a Burmester high-end surround system with 1450 watts and 25 speakers. But we'll go ahead and sample this standard version. Sound quality of this system is amazing, so unless you're a super audiophile, you probably won't need to get the upgraded sound system. But anyways, moving on to our climate controls, those are all located across this row right here. You do have a standard 2-zone automatic climate control system. However, on this specific model, we've optioned on the 3-zone climate control. So it's very simple. You can just press the automatic mode to automatically set the climate, and then toggle your temperature right over here with this little toggle. You can also set your zones, change the fan speeds right here. And then you can press this button here in the middle to come up with the rest of the climate controls that can't fit there. So that will allow you to adjust the rear climate. As you can see, you've got a little animation there to show you what you're adjusting. You can click on your climate mode here. And this is also where you could adjust the various things to do with the fragrance system if you have that option. And of course, you might be noticing the lighting inside the vents. So just like on some of the other Mercedes models, depending on the temperature, as you adjust it and stuff like that, it will glow red or blue. Definitely a really cool and classy touch, especially at night. But anyways, that brings us up here to our command system. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look. But anyways, taking a quick look here at the command system, like I already said, there are several different ways to control it. You can swipe across this touchpad, or you can also use the wheel, or additionally you can use this little touch slider on the right side of the steering wheel. This is not a touch display though. But anyways, just checking out a few of the basic features. We'll start out with the navigation. This of course is standard. As you can see, we've got a nice satellite view here, and we can zoom in and out with our control knob. As far as other functions, you do have your Mercedes Connect. This is where you basically find all your applications, including, most importantly, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both on board here. But anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about here with the Mercedes command system. However, we will make a very detailed tech help video available if you want to learn more. A link to that video will appear in the video description. Of course, as one would expect, you do have a frameless auto-dimming mirror with your HomeLink universal remotes built into the bottom of it. And we do also have a standard moonroof. Now this is just a standard sized unit. There is not a panoramic one available, but that's probably a good thing since it preserves plenty of rear headroom. But anyways, this cabin is quite simply just wow. I mean, that's really the best way I have to describe it. It is absolutely stunning in here. You have the finest materials and just an absolutely gorgeous design that really mixes the best characteristics of their sedans with beautiful characteristics from the actual AMG GT, Roadster, and Coupe. But But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will check out all the rear areas.
Alrighty, so checking out the rear seat of the 2019 Mercedes AMG GT 4-door, you are of course going to find one of its biggest features, obviously, and that is that it has a rear seat. So even though this car is super cool, it does have a rear seat, which is the benefit of this vehicle, of course. Now, as far as the leg room is concerned, I don't have an exact figure, but it doesn't look to be any different from like a Mercedes CLS or anything like that, so you are going to be looking at plenty of space back here. Now, turning over to the door trim, it is of course beautifully designed, as with any Mercedes-Benz. So you do have a leather padded armrest, goes all the way through here, and it is even leather wrapped all the way up into the upper portion. And you do have some more beautiful wood trim, as well as a metal speaker grille. Of course, your window is fully automatic, and you do even have some door storage that is felt lined. Now, turning over to the seat itself, Mercedes has made this a really cool seat. It's a bucket seat, keeping with the GT sport design. So you do have a bucket seat with beautiful Napa leather here in the middle, as well as Alcantara accents throughout to keep you held in place. Now here in the center, as you would expect, you do have standard vents across all the models, and you do even have your own climate controls back here since it is 4-zone automatic. Now down below that, we do have a 12-volt power outlet, as well as a USB port, and a household style outlet, which is a really nice touch for a sedan like this. Now coming over to the center area, we do also have some cup holders, as well as a little storage area with 2 more smart charging USB ports. Now, of course, you do not have a center armrest since this is a kind of a bucket seat design. However, I do want to mention that there is an optional executive package, and basically that will throw in an armrest that goes all the way through here, and that also gives you a tablet screen, as well as heated and ventilated cup holders, and wireless phone charging back here. Now up top, of course, you do have a beautiful Alcantara headliner. It feels amazing. And off to the side, you have LED lighting, as you would expect, and a coat hook. Now, like I was mentioning, Mercedes didn't actually give us any legroom figures on this vehicle. However, behind Drew's seating position, I have plenty of room. So this is actually really a lot of space. My feet can easily slide up under the seat, so 4 people can definitely fit comfortably in this car if you're worried about that. And that is one of its biggest benefits. It has tons of space. But overall, I have to say, sitting in the back seat of the AMG GT 4-door, this is an extremely cool place to spend time. Not only is it super luxurious and you have every feature you could ever want, but these seats are absolutely amazing, and you really feel like you're sitting in something special when you sit back here. Now coming around to the trunk, it is a hatchback design, so all you have to do is locate this little button under the lid, and of course it is a power tailgate, so if you open it up, it opens right up. Now in terms of space of this AMG GT 4-door, once again we do not have an exact cargo measurement. However, I will mention that this is a ton of space. I would estimate it to be at least 25 cubic feet of space, and as you can see, we have plenty of camera equipment back here, as well as a tripod, and it's actually plenty wide enough, and it has quite a length to it. Now, of course, as you would expect, it is finished really nicely back here as well. So we do have a nicely carpeted floorboard, and underneath it, we do have a little storage compartment down here as well. And of course, you do have even some more beautiful metal speaker grills even here in the trunk area. Now coming over to the passenger seat is that same lovely design. I absolutely love this AMG metal piece here, and it is a beautiful, beautiful seat with Alcantara and Nappa leather. And coming over here to the adjustments itself, you do have 3-person memory, as well as the same adjustments as the driver's. It looks to be about 16 or 20 ways. Now obviously you do have fantastic materials in front of the passenger, so you have leather all the way through here, some more of that beautiful wood trim, and down below that you have a really good sized glove box. It is nicely felt lined, and it is even leather wrapped down here. And coming up, we have an Alcantara sun visor with a mirror and light. It does also detach, however it does not extend. But overall, guys, that sums up all the rear areas of this AMG GT 4-door. So now let's go ahead and get on the road and see exactly why you buy this car to start with.
Alright, so now let's go ahead and get to this car's powertrain. Definitely the highlight of the vehicle, to say the least. Alright, so this car, it's available in 3 different configurations. There's actually a AMG 53 version coming to showrooms real soon. That is going to have a 6-cylinder mild hybrid, basically the same setup as you'll see in like the E-Class and the CLS. That's not available yet, and that's not what we have. We have the 63, which is probably the way most people will get this car. So that comes with a AMG handcrafted 4-liter twin-turbo V8. Producing 577 horsepower.
Wow.
And 590 pound-feet of torque. Now, for whatever reason, if you feel that's inadequate, you can get a higher tuned version of this engine with the 63S, and that's going to bump it to 630 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. These are just outrageous numbers, basically. But yeah, this is the same as what you get into the Coupe and the Roadster, so you're definitely not giving up anything in terms of performance. As far as your transmission, you're looking at a 9-speed automatic, and it comes standard with a special AMG-specific 4MATIC all-wheel drive system, which basically is rear-wheel drive all the time, except when needed, it goes to all-wheel drive. So that gives you definitely that performance ability. And AMG is also quick to point out that because of this, you can actually drift this car. You can bump it into the race mode, so you can drift this and do burnouts and all the things that you want to do in a rear-wheel drive car, just by switching your drive modes. So altogether, for the performance, you're looking at a 0 to 60 in only 3.3 seconds.
Holy moly.
And for the S version, 3.1 seconds. So it's definitely very cool to have the rear-wheel drive bias, but then also have the all-wheel drive grip when you need it, so you can launch off and have 0 to 60s that are this insane.
Unbelievable for a sedan to have that fast of 0 to 60.
Mm-hmm. And top speed is 193 miles per hour, which they point out is faster than the Panamera Turbo. Last but not least, fuel economy comes in at 15 city, 20 highway, 17 combined. But anyways, now we got those specifications out of the way, let's go ahead and see how this beast performs on the real road.
Sounds pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And before we make it out to a country road to really get to see how this car performs, I do want to mention how it would perform on a day-to-day basis. So you might be curious as to if this car is a good daily driver or whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that this is actually an extremely smooth riding car. And I mean, seriously, it rides like any other Mercedes-Benz, and you really wouldn't know. I mean, if you turned off the active exhaust, you could be cruising down in here, and it's very comfortable, just like any other Mercedes sedan.
I have to say, going off of that everyday livability thing, I believe we're in the comfort mode right now. The throttle response is extremely linear, really makes it easy to drive. You know, something with this much power, it really has the possibility to be hard to drive on a day-to-day basis, you know, really, you know, too sensitive on the throttle applications, you know. But it's tame. When you stick it in the comfort mode, I mean, you can just drive this very comfortably, just like a normal car. I'm not having any trouble, you know, modulating my speed and whatnot. But of course, the performance is there if I dip into it.
Wow.
Lots of power, lots of power.
So first taking off, we have a breathtaking amount of power.
That's right. Breathtaking. Holy moly.
Oh my gosh.
Well, needless to say, acceleration is breathtaking. Just absolutely stunning. 3.3 seconds in this vehicle. You know, that's elite level performance. Right in line with supercars. Of course, here we have 4 doors, so the whole family can come along for the breathtaking ride. Definitely amazing.
Yeah, that power, there's really just nothing like it. I mean, when you get in a car that is this fast, it's just, words can't describe it. Sure, you know, from a 4.5 to a 3.3, you know, it doesn't seem like too much, but you can definitely tell that difference. And you know, as far as the 63S, 0.2 seconds 0 to 60 faster. If that's your mojo, if you're all about the numbers, maybe. But I can tell you, the 63 is not going to be a weakling.
Oh, absolutely not. And going around some corners here, of course, feels fantastic. This car has really great steering, very well weighted, and super fast, as you would expect. You know, it responds instantaneous. It kind of reads your mind.
It is also worth noting that this car does have rear steering, which is probably one of the reasons why it handles so extremely well. So the rear wheels will actually help you kind of get around those corners.
That is right.
And then it also is speed sensing. So in a lot of cars, you know, it can sense, you know, heck, you're on a country road, maybe you're wanting to have a little bit of fun. So it is going to tighten up that steering and make it a lot better. But if you're in town and just driving through a parking lot, it's not going to be like super heavy. So that is a good benefit.
Now, let's see, we can try sport mode. And then, yeah, we'll just try out the sport mode here.
Yeah, not too crazy. When it shifts gears, it sounds like it's whipping. Like it literally, I hear like a psh, psh. Like,
yeah, you got the turbos coming on and off their spoil, going pss, pss. It reminds me of a really exotic supercar. Now, of course, full disclosure, I'm not really pushing this car. Please, just spare me the expense of going into the comment section and complaining about that. This car costs more than everything Mason and I have added together and times 3. So we're not going to be driving like maniacs, and you wouldn't either. So unless you own this car, that's going to be the only person that's going to really push this car to its full potential. So if you're one of the lucky people that are going to have one of these, or this specific car actually, congratulations.
You've made it.
You have made it, and you are a lucky guy or gal. So I just activated the manual mode, so we can go ahead and do some manual shifting. That's definitely a lot of fun. Just a fantastic sounding engine.
Phenomenal. Wow.
I don't know, I'm almost speechless. I don't even know what to say. You just want to drive it. I don't want to talk, I just want to drive. This is just an amazing driver's car. One of the finest cars I've ever been able to drive. Now, as far as this car's like biggest competitor, Mercedes says that's going to be the Panamera. In this case, with the 63, that's going to be the Panamera Turbo. I have not driven that, so I cannot really comment on how it feels compared to the Panamera. But on paper, at least, this does have more power than the Panamera Turbo and faster 0 to 60. So that's certainly an advantage when you're shopping in this category. Transmission is so fast.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Oh my goodness. Like, don't drive this if you don't want to be spoiled for life.
Yeah, no.
Like, you'll remember this, and you'll be really sad when you get back into your regular car, at least in my case, because, yeah.
My message to the future owner is, please do not buy this car and park it in the garage and never drive it.
That's right.
That's a pet peeve of mine. All these nice cars that get stuck in a garage where no one even drives them. And this car is a beast. Get it out on the road and enjoy it.
Turns out we actually may have had the exhaust in the quiet mode, believe it or not.
Quiet.
Quiet mode. So yeah. It does get louder, and it sounds great. So let's see, to conclude, I mean, what can I say bad about this car? It's outrageous, outrageously good. like I said, one of the best things I have ever personally driven, for sure. It's just, it's amazing. Almost has me speechless, you know. 4 doors, sport back storage. Can you have the best of everything? Maybe if you have $156,000, this might be the best of everything.
Alrighty, and as far as the pricing is concerned for this beast, we are going to have pretty expensive starting prices, as you would expect. So for the GT 4-door 53, which is the mild hybrid one that Drew was talking about, that starts at a starting price of $99,000 even. Now if you want to go for this model, which is the 63, I guess is this kind of your middle option, so to say, this one starts at $136,500. And then if you want to go for the 63S with all the crazy stuff, that is going to start at $159,000. Now, as far as how this particular model is equipped, this is still a Mercedes-Benz, so there is plenty of options that you can check off on top of that starting price. So for this particular model, we have the graphite gray paint for $720,000, the AMG exclusive Napa leather for $2,160,000, the AMG performance steering wheel with the Alcantara on the sides for $500,000, these beautiful 21-inch AMG wheels for $3,450,000, the AMG performance exhaust for $1,850,000, the household style outlet in the back for $115,000, the massaging front seats for $1,320,000, 3-zone climate control for $760,000, the Dynamica headliner for $1,600,000, soft closing doors for $550,000, as well as the warmth and comfort package for $1,050,000, the AMG night package for $750,000, the parking assistance package for $500,000, and finally the driver's assistance package for $2,250,000. Finally, when you add in the destination charge of $995, as well as the gas guzzler tax, so unfortunately this car does still have a gas guzzler tax, and that's $1,000 on this model. This particular model as equipped is $156,070, which is definitely a lot of money, but this car, I would like to point out, it's absolutely insane that this car even exists. You know, the AMG GTR is a crazy coupe, and then this one has 4 doors and all the benefits of kind of a hatchback, but still looks absolutely insane, and also 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. So you're getting a ton of performance, a ton of style, and also functionality in this car for that price. Well guys, we've enjoyed watching one of the first in-depth looks at the 2019 Mercedes GT63 AMG 4-door. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.
Mm-hmm.